Barbell deadlift is a classic, excellent full body strength exercise that many people struggle with, mostly because of how they set it up and also the discomfort that they have trying to do it. So what I want to talk about today is not only how to properly set it up, but also some of the key mistakes that you might encounter doing the deadlift. The key components of setting up the deadlift are first going to be figuring out how wide your hand's going to be and how wide are your feet going to be. So for this version of the deadlift, the conventional deadlift, what we want to make sure of is that if our hands are on our hips and we stick our thumbs out and we look down, our feet should be inside those thumbs. If they're outside the thumbs, that is a stance that's too wide. You got to bring it back in. There's going to be a sweet spot in here. You can have a little bit of toe out, like 10, 20, maybe even 30 degrees, but the more you toe out, the harder it's going to be to get down to the bar, so less is better in this case. Part number two is going to be how wide or where on the bar we're going to grab. So you're going to take those same hands, reach long, stick your thumbs in your sides, and you're going to grab roughly where that is in terms of distance on the bar. So for me, that's about 3 fingers from the smooth of the bar. For you, that's going to be different. That's an easy way to figure it out. So basic points. We're going to start the bar over the midfoot, which is pretty much where my laces start on my shoe. I'm going to reach long as hard as I can, pulling my shoulders down away from my ears. I'm going to bend at the waist. I'm going to go down and grab the bar. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I keep my arms long, pull my shoulders down, and then roll the bar into the shin. That's going to be in contact with me the whole time. Then I push the floor away, keeping the bar close, and then I let it down the same way I came. So bend at the waist, slight bend at the knee, set it down. One of the most common things that can go wrong with the deadlift is feeling a lot of discomfort through the lower back when you do this. If you start to feel a searing line across the back or a pretty strong pump in the erectors, which is like these lower back muscles here that sit above your waistband, then one, just in practicing the deadlift, you might get some feeling through there, but if it's intense, then there's probably some faults in the mechanics. And oftentimes if you video yourself doing some of this, you'll notice when things go wrong. I'll give you some examples here. So one of the key things to make sure of when you are setting up the deadlift is that one, when we're going down to the bar, that we are not letting the bar get away from us and we keep the bar close at all times. So sometimes you'll see deadlifts happening with a space between the bar and the body. This immediately causes the upper back to round, which is not a good position. It looks ugly because it is ugly, so don't do it. Got to get the bar close. Now, for many people, getting the bar too close in the beginning will limit their ability to actually flatten out the lower back and pull the shoulders down, so you need to give them enough room in order to do that. So the next stage of this is making sure that we pull the shoulders down away from the ears before we roll the bar. In order to do that, we need to be looking down or slightly in front of us first. If you're trying to look up and pull your shoulders down, it's not going to work. You can try this. I guarantee you, it's not going to work. So you will get into a better position if you let the chin drop a bit, pull the shoulders down, and then pull the bar. Another cause for the back rounding is sometimes we'll set up with too much toe out. So having the toes turned out, when we go to bend down, right away we feel some tensioning behind the thighs, those are your hamstrings. We need enough length in the hamstring to get down to the bar for most people in a comfortable position. So if you start to become limited in the amount of range that you have in those hamstrings, you're going to find that there's no choice but to start rounding through the upper and lower back. So again, toes forward, or as forward as possible, and you might play around with how narrow or how wide that stance is. The other piece of this is just making sure that we are at all times creating lots of tension through the upper body. Now, this might not cause rounding through the deadlift, but it's going to allow you to be stronger. So what that feels like is one of the key components in the deadlift is keeping lots of tension through the lats. And what that feels like is if we stand tall, and I want you to do this with me. So I want you to literally get up right now, stand tall, and then reach long to the floor as if you're trying to drive your fingertips through the ground. If you do that, then turn the palms forward, you're going to get some tension along the side. Those are your lats. So that's lat tension. That's the amount of tension that you're looking to keep. So you're going to get a flex through the tricep when you do this. So if we turn our hands back but try to maintain that tension, that's how long your arms need to be through this deadlift. That's how much tension you need to keep. Most people don't. So they either give up poundage of their deadlift, or they put their back at risk, or both. So super important that we are keeping tons of tension through the lift. Then what we want to make sure of is that as we go down, you're going to find those arms are going to want to slide away. So the action that we're doing, it's almost like we're trying to press the bar into the shin and then into the thigh as we stand up. That's what's going to allow you to maintain the most tension through the body and have a great lift. Now, there's two more points that we need to get to. What we need to do when we come off the ground is think about the deadlift as everything above the feet stays locked in position, and the only thing that you're worried about when you start lifting the bar is not lifting at all, it's actually trying to push your feet through the ground, kind of like a leg press. So if I get myself locked into place, I pull my shoulders down, lock everything in, I'm just going to think about pushing rather than picking up the bar. It seems like they're the same thing, but they are not. The body responds differently when you think about pushing the floor away. So I want you to think about simply getting locked into position, push the floor away, and you're going to find that the lift feels stronger and everything comes up evenly, which is what we're looking for. The last thing I want to talk about, because there's a lot of things when it comes to nuances in the deadlift, and I can't get all of it done in one video, but we want to make sure that at the top, we have tension again. Thinking back to our long arms, we've got to keep tension in the front of the body too. So, call it the poke test. Like if somebody was going to come along and try to poke you in the stomach, what would you do? Other than dodging, imagine you can't dodge. You're going to try to tense up because you don't want them to poke you. So you're going to get tense, make sure you have some tension. That's the poke test. You're going to reach long, and this is your top position. So you're going to make sure that you're driving your feet through the ground, poke test ready, with long arms, and this is where you're going to come back to every single time. So grab the bar, keep it close, shoulders, head, push, and your poke test ready. Everything's on tension. Hopefully that helps. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I would love to know what you're struggling with. That might be fuel for another video. And if you appreciated this and you got some value out of it, feel free to hit the like button. That's greatly appreciated. And subscribe.